Okay, let's do some exercise for the fingers, just opening and closing. If you have stiffness or arthritis in the fingers, this is the way to help keep it under control. Gently opening and closing. So if we have stiffness in any joint, the Chinese saying, move the pain away, is what we want to keep in mind. So slow, gentle movement to stimulate the circulation of blood and qi around the joint and to relax the muscles and tendons. So in this case, in the last year, I started to get arthritis in my index fingers. I don't know why, just those fingers in particular, but just opening and closing the hands helps to keep that under control. Now, if you have soreness in the wrists, then again, gentle movement. Now the wrist can move in more directions than the fingers, so we would have these circles like this. And then of course the other direction. And then, of course, the wrist can move this way, up and down. And the wrist can move this way, side to side. And the prescription for this type of exercise for the joints is to do the movement till the joint gets warm and then continue for another 50 repetitions. And to do, well, if you have serious problems with arthritis or injury in the joint, then to do 3 times a day. Then, if the next day or 24 hours later, you notice that you have worse pain than usual, keeping in mind that there are other factors that could be involved, such as a change in the weather or a change in something you ate. But if those other factors are steady and the pain is worse than usual, then you overdid it. Overdoing it means you either moved with too much muscular force and too much range of motion, more than your joint can tolerate, or you did too many repetitions. Okay, so we'll shake out wrists and elbows. So that's interesting saying that move the pain away. And I think a lot of us, instead of, we may not even be aware of that principle of move the pain away, But a lot of us are take a pill and mask the pain. Well, in a lot of cases that doesn't really do much to help relieve the underlying problem. Shake the whole body. And let's loosen up the waist. And what we're trying to do here is to not just loosen up the waist, but to relax the arms and shoulders, so that the waist turns and the arms and shoulders, they just follow along behind the waist. I'm also doing a little trick here with my fingers. I'm tapping the lung 1 here and of course the other lung 1 over here. Lung 1 acupuncture point. I'm doing a little acupressure massage with the fingers. To help the qi circulation in the lungs. So we get so relaxed in this exercise that if you stopped moving your waist, this is what would happen. Okay. Sometimes it takes a while to relax the body so that it can do that. It didn't get stiff overnight, so it won't get relaxed overnight either. Now, bring the feet together and we'll loosen up the knees. Change direction. And now we'll do the ankles. Change direction. As our temperatures get cooler, as we transition more into the fall season, it's time to switch over from, if you're a tea drinker, to switch over from the cooling energy teas like mint and green tea to the more warming energy teas like ginger tea or cinnamon. If you have that list of teas that I disseminated last year. Of course, you realize that there are the warming teas, and there are also teas that strengthen the immune system. So I should probably email that out again to everybody. And change direction. Okay. So now we're going to do the all-season Qigong, but we're going to do it in health mode. And by that I mean we're going to focus on the health of the organs, and we're going to use the healing sound along with the exercise to augment the healthy effect. So when we get to the part of the exercise where we are waving the spine, the first spinal movement is just the lumbar spine. So we don't have very much in play in terms of the organs when we're just moving this area. I mean, the organs that are affected by the healing sounds, of course, the intestines are in play. But when we get the movement up to the shoulders, then we have the triple burner and the lungs and the heart in play. And so we could use any of those healing sounds, but the one I would suggest for the first waving exercise when we're going straight ahead is the triple burner sound, and that is she, as though it were written S-H-E, she. Then when we turn to the left, of course, we're going to be massaging the spleen. And so we can use the healing sound for spleen, hu, H-U. And when we turn to our right, we'll be massaging the liver. So we can use the healing sound for liver, shu. Yes, or actually written in the pinyin, Chinese, the pinyin transliteration X-U, but pronounced as though it was S-H-U, shu. Remember that we make the healing sound before the body gets too bent over. So our breathing pattern is inhale. As we go back, then as we start forward, it's exhale. So before we get too bent over, we make the healing sound. Because once we get bent over, then the organ is compressed and the healing sound will not be able to have its releasing effect, releasing the energy from the organ out into the organ channels and the interstitial tissues that fill the space between the organs in the chest and abdomen. So we make the sound she at the very beginning of the exhale. When we get to this part, where we wave the arms as an extension of the body's wave, we're going to use the lung healing sound, which is S-I-I-I-I. Because the lung channel here on the thumb side of the inner arm, that's going to be activated as we do this movement. So it's inhale and then like air leaking from a balloon. Okay, so let's start with the all-season Qigong. So heels together or hip width apart, depending on how much you want to challenge your balance. Inhale. Exhale. Return to childhood breathing is fine. Gently expand the abdomen as you inhale. Gently push down onto perineum. And gently contract the abdomen as you exhale. Gently lift the perineum. Stretch out any tight places. And continue deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale, turn to the side. And do not hold the breath. Inhale, come back to the front. Exhale, turn to the other side. Inhale, come back to the front. Let's do one more to each side. Exhale and turn. We're stretching up, but we're not locking, we're not stiffening, we're just stretching. Inhale, come back to the front. Exhale, turn to the side. Inhale, come back to the front. Now, we're going to take a wrist, stretch up and bend. Again, we're not trying to see how far we can bend. We're just trying to stretch and relax the muscles on this side of the triple burner. Inhale, come back to center. Change to the other wrist, stretch up, exhale and bend. And let's do that one more time to each side. Inhale, come up, stretch up, exhale and bend. Inhale, come up. Now exhale, bend the waist and move your hips around to loosen your lower back. Squat down with feet flat. And lift up the heels. And we'll come back up. So we'll loosen up the shoulders. Bring the shoulders forward and inhale. Roll them to the back and exhale. So of course this is one of the movements you could use for stiff or arthritic shoulders, along with movement also of the arms. And stop with your shoulders in the back. Inhale with your shoulders held back. Reverse the direction of rotation and exhale when your shoulders come forward. Now alternating sides. And now reverse directions. Now for the neck. Drop the chin onto the chest. Roll the head to the side. Gently stretch out the muscles on the side of your neck. And then roll down, put your chin on the chest again, and roll up the other side. Gently stretch. And continue rotating slowly from side to side. And now we'll bring the head upright. We'll step out to a shoulder width stance. Then we'll do the first neck piece from the 8 pieces of brocade. So, and place the hands on the hips. Inhale. Exhale, turn to the side, look behind you. Inhale, come back to front. Exhale, turn to the other side, look behind. Inhale, come back to the front. And continue turning slowly from side to side in coordination with your breathing. Exhale out. Inhale in. Remember to keep your shoulders square to the front so that you are doing the turning in your neck, not your waist. Okay, now we'll step out to wider than shoulder width horse stance and start horizontal circles. Coordinating with the breathing, we inhale when the lower abdomen goes backwards, exhale when it comes forwards. Notice that your head should stay relatively stable and you do the turning in the waist. There's a different exercise where we do this, but we're not doing that now, so we're doing this one. Inhale back, exhale forward. As your joints and muscles warm up, you can gradually expand the size of the circles. If you have arthritis or injury to the lower spine, then keep the circles small and gentle. Turn to the side. Remember, as you turn to the side, to keep your knees pointing straight ahead so that you're doing the turning in the waist and hips. Gradually come back to center and turn to the other side. Come back to center and reverse directions. Continue to coordinate with your breathing. Continue to focus your mind on your lower spine and sacrum. Turn slowly to the side. Gradually come back to the center and turn to the other side. Come back to the center. Slowly make the circle smaller, and we'll come to the stop. And now we'll wave the spine. So our first round of waving the spines, we will not use the healing sound because we're working just on the lumbar part. Coordinate with breathing. Exhale as your solar plexus goes forward and your lower abdomen goes backwards. Inhale as your solar plexus goes backwards and your lower abdomen goes forwards. So exhale. Inhale. Place your mind in your lower spine and sacrum and try to get the 5 lumbar vertebrae to move section by section in a slow, soft wave. And I was going to say, move them one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. or actually it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because we're going upward. But 1 and 2 today are stiff for me, and I think it's because we need a new mattress. You wake up every morning with a backache? Yeah, it's probably your mattress. Turn to the side. Gradually now, come back to the center and now turn to the other side. And remember, knees continue to point straight ahead as we turn to the side. Now come back to center. So now we're going to bring the wave up to the shoulders and we're going to add the sound. So now, as we do the repetitions facing straight ahead, we use the sound for triple burner. We could use the sound for a heart, or we could use the sound for lungs. But let's use triple burner. Inhale, exhale, and shh. So before you get to here, where your triple burner is bent and compressed, finish the sound. In, she. Okay. Remember not to let your head drop too low. Yeah, be careful. Keep your head about up here. Don't let it come down here. So if you come close to a 90-degree angle, that's too much. So about here. I'm guessing this is about a 45-degree angle. But if you get down here, no, that's too much because the head is heavy and it's going to straighten the lower back. So don't let your head drop too low. Shh. And now we're going to turn to the left. So be sure you're turning to your left, not mirroring me. But and we're going to use the ceiling sound for spleen, which is hoo, 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 hoo. So before you get to here, finish your healing sound, finish your hoo before you get to here. Hoo, hoo. Now we'll come back to the front, and now I'm going to turn to my right. So turn to your right, and we're going to use the healing sound for liver, which is shoo, 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 shoo. Remember, when you make the healing sound, you want to feel the release. You want to feel the sound resonate in the organ. So you feel some kind of vibration maybe in the organ, and then you feel this release of qi into the interstitium around the organ. Also breathing out through the mouth. So come back to center. Now we're going to add the arms. So now, because we're activating the arms, we have the lung channel, of course, on the thumb side of the inner arm. And we have the heart channel on the little finger side of the inner arm. Okay, and that heart one is right in the center of the armpit. So if you wanted to do heart, you could do heart. But it's fall season and the lungs are the organs that are endangered by the change of the weather in the fall, so let's use the lungs. And the sound is like air leaking from a balloon. Now remember that I'm making this sound louder than it should be made. That's because I want people to hear the sound and remember to make it. You should make the sound softly, so-called sound of no sound. Very softly so as not to tense the throat, and particularly with the lungs and heart. You don't want to tense the throat because that inhibits some of the release of stagnant qi, which occurs out through the throat. So, lung sound. In and turn to the side. Gradually come back to center, turn to the other side. Back to center. Now I'll do one arm at a time. And this is really good for the shoulder. This gets a nice stretch in here between the scapula and the spine. Those muscles in there, which often get tight, particularly when we do too much sitting. So a nice stretch without locking up. And now, the other side. Sometimes people ask me, well, my right side feels different than my left side. Yeah, that's pretty much normal because, tell the truth, we're not all built symmetrically. We have little differences. And also, we don't use our body symmetrically. As the right-handers use the right side more, left-handers use the left side more. So, yeah, the sides are not going to feel the same. So, and we'll finish with energy cleansing. So step back into hip width distance so that we don't have the legs, so we have the legs relaxed and not tense. So if we're in shoulder width or wider stance, the leg muscles are more tense than if we're in hip width distance. And so we want the leg muscles to be relaxed so that when we do the cleansing chi, it can go down the legs and out into the earth easily. So inhale, gather the universal healing energy that surrounds us and take that energy from whatever source fits your philosophy or religion. And exhale, bring the energy in through the byway gate, the gate of heaven chi. And down, layer by layer through your body. Feel the fresh energy flushing out stale energy, pain and illness, stress and tension, negative emotions, and flushing them all the way down to the bottoms of your feet and out into the depths of the earth, where they will be recycled. Inhale. Gather the healing chi again. And exhale, bring it in and down, inch by inch. Visualize this healing chi going through every bone and muscle, to every organ, cleansing and healing, all the way down to the bottoms of your feet and out into the earth. And again, inhale and gather the chi. And exhale, bring it in and down. Inch by inch, visualize it flowing through every cell in your body, healing and revitalizing, all the way down to the bottoms of your feet and out into the earth. Okay, so now let's continue working on flexibility, range of motion in joints with some white crane Qigong exercise. So let's start with left and right flying, which looks like this when we get to the full extent of the movements. Mm-hmm. Now, white crane flying gong, there's no yin and yang, so you can do the breathing in either direction. You could inhale as your arms go out and up, and exhale as they come in and down, or you can exhale as they go out and up, and inhale as they come in and down. I like to inhale as they go up because for a nice feeling, the air comes into the top of the lungs, and when we get to this position, the air will go into the top of the lungs, the part of the lungs that doesn't get used as much as the center of the lungs. So here we go. Movement originates in the bottoms of your feet, and everything's connected out to the tips of your wings. Very, very relaxed movement. Try to minimize the use of muscular power. And I'm trying to derive a lot of the impetus for the movement from just the wave that begins in the root rather than use my arm muscles. I let the arms follow the movement, the wave that starts in the feet. Maybe you can see that if I do the side view. So this is very good for healing the joints, tendons, and ligaments. It was created by White Crane Kung Fu martial artists to help them recover from their martial arts training, to heal the injuries that were incurred as they practiced the soft, hard fudging of White Crane Kung Fu. We only stay in the extreme position for about a minute or so, and then we gradually begin to reduce the size of the movements. Now, what you should be able to do is, if you relaxed your arms, they should do that, okay? That's not part of the exercise, but that's just to show you how relaxed you would like to get your arms eventually to be. Or even as the movement gets smaller and smaller, we still have the whole body connected. Now, let's do the straight backwards fly, which is like this. Nice pop around T8. My spine I'm referring to. Okay, so straight backwards flying. Two waves working in this movement. So there's the wave that comes up the bottom, from the bottoms of the feet to the tops of the shoulders. And this was the wave we were seeing before in the right and left flying. And there's also now a wave that starts in the center of the chest and goes out to each wingtip horizontally. And so we have a vertical wave and a horizontal wave interplaying. Breathing can be in either way, as I said before, but if you inhale with shoulders back, exhale with shoulders forward, that's the Qigong treatment for asthma. So that benefits people who may be asthmatic. This one we only go up with the wingtips at shoulder height. There we go. Gradually now we'll lower the arms and reduce the size of the movements. And now we'll do forward and backward flying, double wing. Looks like this. Wrists are very relaxed, so look at the fingers hanging, and then the wrist sinking and the fingers very relaxed, following behind. Okay. And let's step 1 foot forward and rock. Let's get some exercise for the legs. So we're shifting weight, just like we would in Tai Chi, from front stance to back stance. 60% of the weight on the front leg, now 60% of the weight on the back leg. Rear foot is at a 45-degree angle to straight ahead. And the knee on the rear leg bends in the same direction that the toes are pointing. Very important to keep the knee movement in the same plane as the feet are pointing. Take a step backwards and we'll rock on the other side. And we'll step up the even stance. We'll gradually reduce the size of the forward and backward flying movements. But even as the movements get smaller and smaller, we still have the whole body connected in the movement. And we come to a stop. Okay, now we'll end our Qigong practice by placing the hands over the lower abdomen and placing the mind in the lower dantian, the center of the lower abdomen, on a level about 2 inches below the navel. As we hold our mind steadily there, we use the return to childhood breathing, gently expanding the abdomen as we inhale, gently pushing down on the perineum, gently contracting the abdomen as we exhale, gently lifting the perineum. By holding our mind in the center of the lower abdomen, the lower dantian, we allow our chi, or vital energy, to return to the place where it can reside, where it can be stored and preserved for future use. Okay, so let me ask if there's any questions.